Let's give it up, Anders.
Thank you, Mike. Can everybody hear me? I hope you can understand me too. English is not my mother tongue, but if I understand it right, Minnesota is the place to be if you're from Sweden or Norway or something like that. So, but if you don't understand anything or something I say, just raise your hand. It's really nice to see so many here, considering the great party yesterday. I thought everybody would be hanged over and sleeping still, so I could escape from this presentation, really. But it's really nice to see so many here. So my name is Anders Haal. I work for a small Swedish, Stockholm-based consultancy company called Ingenjörsbyn. That would translate to English as the small village of IT engineers, really. So we are a small company. We work mostly in the area of architecture, design, and development of software, and also in the software development management part of the whole thing. So very much how to develop software in hopefully a good way. Especially, we are very much predominant on the service side development, so it's lots of questions around scalability, manageability, availability, of course. And in that area, surveillance and monitoring is, of course, key aspects. My presentation is called Business Activity Monitoring with Nagios, and we will dwell into what that means and try to find some examples of what we have done in this space. And yeah, continue from that. So I already covered myself and Sweden. You know Sweden. It's somewhere in Europe. It's a small part in Europe, and we don't make much chocolate. That's Switzerland. It's always confusing here in U.S. what is what, but Sweden is in the north. So let's start with business activity monitoring and what it means. Business activity monitoring was something that was created by Gartner. And I don't know if this is the original Gartner description. This is from Wikipedia anyway. If you use the Gartner one, you probably have to pay some fees to them. And I think it came up around 2000, this sort of acronym. And what it meant was that the goals with business activity monitoring was really to create for the business operation, for the business part of the company, some means to do monitoring in real time of what is going on in their business application and their business processes. For you, monitoring, doing things in real time is so what? I mean, this is what you do every day on your IT infrastructure. But from a business operations point of view, this is not very often implemented. And the main benefits that Gartner said was you can gain by doing something like this was to be able to get informed business decision. So making decision based on something you measure instead of just guessing, which seems to be the normal way in business often. And to do this, you could also get the capability to address any problems that you would find in your business operations very quickly, instead of causing a simple problem to be a disaster later in this process. And then an extra benefit would be that if you know something about what is going on in your business process, in your applications, you can use that information to maybe reposition the organization, how you use the organization as a resources. So let's say, for example, if you are a warehouse company and you get lots of orders in for Amazon, and you know that you have lots of orders coming in today, you can maybe bring in more people. So I would guess that Amazon is good at this sort of stuff, but many companies need that sort of information to make better decisions and reposition the organization. So you could say that on all this great presentation we have had these 2 days, and especially yesterday, we talk very much about monitoring from an IT infrastructure perspective. And I mean, we started with networking monitoring, We all think it's a common place to do IT infrastructure monitoring today. You do surveillance on your databases, your web servers, everything you have. And with Nagios especially, you can do, you're really open to do monitoring on anything you want. So the next step that I see that is a potential and an opening in the market is to move into starting to do more monitoring and surveillance of what is going on in your business applications to understand what is going on in how your whole business process work. You want to take that call? Or you want to take that call? Yeah. It was your Nagios sending you an alert. So this is sort of the next space. And I don't see very much activity in this space. And Ethan talked yesterday about, and Mike, you will present it tomorrow, about understanding how our systems work from a sort of business process point of view. But for me, a bit of that is more how we look at a business, like an e-commerce site, all the system components in there, how they work as a business system, not from a process point of view, always. Okay, so when you start to talk to customers about business activity monitoring, the first thing they say, what do we need that for? But then when you start to getting them to discuss what sort of things you would like to know about what's going on in your business process, in your applications, you typically get questions like this. They doesn't have anything to do with IT. They don't ask about if the routers are up or down, how much memory we have on the servers, how much disk do we have left. It's something about what they do in the business. So typically, they want to know if by some reasons, the orders into the company's business system is dropping, for example, below some thresholds. If the ratio between different entities has a certain value, if you get more orders in over the telephone or the web channel, maybe that's an interesting something that we need to understand. And how much, for example, how much errors do we have in the EDI orders that we get into the business systems? So all of this is something that really doesn't have much to do with IT, but it's information that we will find in the business process executed by the application we have in place. And from that, you can see that what it's all about is about volumes and velocity. So how much of something? It's about rates, transactions. It's about ratio. And it's about errors, of course. And this is more or less what we do in IT surveillance too, what you do all the time. You want to know if your CPU utilization is over some sort of threshold. But we'll come back to that, why this is a bit more special and what is different. Because what we have seen is, if you look at the nature of business activity monitoring, it always have something to do with time. So time is something that is important when you do business monitoring. Because, I make it simple. If you do surveillance of your CPU load, you typically set a fixed static value saying, if it's over 80% CPU utilization, I would like to have a warning or something like that. But if you look at the dynamic of how we get orders into the business system, it will be something that is distributed over a time period, typically a day. So you have few orders in the morning, and then it's increased in the noon, and then it decreases in the night. Or maybe if you're a web shop, it's increasing in the nighttime. So there is something always to do with time. So what is a good value, what is the threshold, is always depending on the time. So we always have time as a very important variable in this when we talk about business activity monitoring. The other thing is that we typically see that we have dependency between different sort of entities. So let's say, because we are a process, so the process starts with someone placing an order, and the process ends with someone getting an invoice. The relationship between the orders coming in is directly to how many